Yep. And off we go. So,
hi.
I think you need to go upstairs and turn the sound down on my, can you turn the sound on my computer? Welcome one and all. Welcome one and all. This is Julian. Checking my hair. My camera over here. There we go. I'm going to start with some pictures by Sean Hammerlev. I showed this group of pictures in the very first year that I did brief photo. The series is called John J. Finn. And basically, Sean got into a conversation with a taxi driver named John Finn, who used to be a photographer in New York City. And they got to talking about gear because they were in traffic and so on. And John said, well, he still has boxes of old gear. And so Sean asked if he could come over and photograph them. And out of those photographs, these pictures ensued. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Finn had already sold most or all of his cameras. So the series consists primarily of filters, lenses, flashes, and light meters. And we've done well with these. They're beautiful pictures. And what's interesting is that I don't know if you'll notice, but they're larger than life, which I think is interesting. So anyways, that's that. These are our tile floors, which I love. And the reason I love these tile floors is because the colors in these that are in that. And that picture is by Franz Seibert, which has been hanging in our entryway forever. And ever and ever and ever. Some details here. And across from those, we have this lovely grouping of also Seibert pictures, which are called Animals That Live with People. And there's these beautiful little children's drawings, which at some point I'd like to publish as a children's book. Da-da-da. I can see me in the reflection there. One of the few sanders that are in our house. This is a print that my dad made. And it's the shoester, or the shoemaster, right beside the shoes. I thought that was funny. Anyways, okay. So we move on. This is the living room, dining room, and all that. Okay, this picture is impossible to see because there's reflective glass on it. This is by Rosalind Solomon. It's a portrait of William Eggleston from a portfolio that she had done, portraits of him. which I love that. Here we have a painting. Well, actually, it's a photograph by Jory Hull, which has been here for also a very long time. This, I don't even remember who the artist's name is. I bought this from Deborah Bell like 30 years ago or something. Let's see if I can get this in a way that you can see it. That's Eugene Smith at a teaching class. Some of my favorite lamps. Side, the coffee machine. Coffee machine. Me before coffee, me after coffee. Right. Here's a work by Christa Henn. Christa Henn is an artist represented by Dorel Dobelkan in Cologne. And what this is, these are made of, or this is made of X-rays with gold leaf. And it's, you can see it's floating. It's been hanging here for a long time. That's a work by Elfriede Stegemeyer. Those are flowers. That's a photograph I took of my late father-in-law. And here are two works by Jared Tarbell. These are generative works which he had programmed in like the mid 1990s. This is before Etsy and all that, when he was still kind of in the public sphere. He's still working, but he's no longer so much in the public sphere. And I've had these forever. All right, time to walk up the stairs a bit. Oh, right. Rahul just reminded me that there's some other pictures that I forgot. Down at the end of here, right. Carl Blossfeld. Now these are high resolution ink prints. They are hyper light stable. This is a technology that was developed by a guy named Kirchner in Berlin in the late 80s, early 90s. They're super high resolution, which means you really can't differentiate them from a photograph, but they're pigment based, so they're not sensitive to light. And they've been hanging here for, God, we've had these, I don't know, for 25 years or something. So that was lunch. I can show you the backyard briefly. There's Rahel. All right, can't show you anyone else or else I get sued by somebody. Don't want to get sued. Okay, and we're gonna end up going up there later. So I'm gonna flip this over again. And actually we can go in here for a moment. This I posted on Instagram. This is from something my father gave to me. It was a design for a frieze, which he had done. There we have a Brockman, an old painting that we've lived with, or I've lived with forever. All right, now we go upstairs. Drawing that has been hanging here for a while. It's a nice shady spot. We come up to our major group that he put together based on children, clearly. What I love about this particular group is that you can tell by the way Sander photographed the individual children that he, like my wife and I, took the people that he photographed very seriously and for full value. That guy could be 20 years old, could be 40 years old, could be 10 years old. It's crazy. All right, we're gonna delve into teenage. My daughter has hopefully cleaned her room up a bit. There's another picture by Jory Hull, again from the Flyover State series. Here, Fly Me to the Moon, ha ha. That's a picture I gave Rahel years ago. This is Evana Elskin. And then we have one picture by Chichola over here. There it is, which my dad gave to Rahel years ago. Right. Birthday gift. That's what gallerists do. Give pictures for birthdays. Levenstein. Stripes. That's a painting by Dorel Dobokan, a white sofa with a white airplane on it in a lightly lit room. Here's one of my fun lamps. This is a particularly important picture. This is the remnant of a lesson, which I won't tell about in public, but if anybody wants to know what it is, I can. And there's something by Scott Pfaffman, which he was asking to see at some point. I don't know if he's here, but yeah, it's been in here for a long time as well. Actually, I'm going to stop saying that because everything's been here for a long time. That was a pain in the ass to hang up. You have no idea. All righty. So that's the children's floor. And the house just keeps going. Another one by Sean Emerler.
Wow.
Which Sean gave me that as a birthday card, like forever ago. When I was 1997 or something. 98. That's Dorel Dobokan. This is Shargesheimer. That was his wife. He apparently liked his wife. All right, I'm going to do just a quick dip into this room. That's my buns. And as I promised Summeroff, here's a work by Michael Summeroff, an artist I've also represented for many, many years. That's by me. That's by my wife. That's a picture I took in 98, I think. Almost no light with my D700 and an f1.2 55 millimeter lens from Nikon, or not a Nikkor lens as they're called. The guy was practicing a dance, which had to do with, the idea was how a butterfly comes out of its cocoon. And I really liked this picture because it's as close as I got to capturing his motion, because you couldn't see very much. And so I really enjoyed being able to capture just kind of a ghost in a space. All right, we're almost through. That's our house, the blueprints, an earlier state. This is a woodblock print by August Chinkel. that I gave to Vika, my wife. This is the bookshelf that I designed and built many years ago. I had a patent on. I built that to clean up my kids.
Wonderful.
That is by my daughter Rahel, the one standing beside me. And that's outside. And now we've got one last room to go look at. And that would be the music room. Da, 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 da. Turn us around. One of the things that we did in this house was work on views and curious details. I'm also a big fan of Ingo Maurer, as you can tell. And there's still some blank walls here. Like, yeah, it's very unacceptable. And after this, I will switch over to my computer and then we can discuss the topics of the day. We go up the last set of stairs. And this, so I took that and the jazz cello. Those are the Four Brothers. That picture there I took in Cologne. And that's a neon sign in my old gallery. Those are my guitars. Don't ask. And Rahel's piano. And that is it. And so now I'm going to turn off this and we'll return to my regular screen. So give me. Okay. Now I can go back in here and I can turn everybody on here.
Hello.
And so everyone's here. So if you all turn on your screen or your microphones and your cameras, then we can all join in.
Can you hear me?
Wait. There we go.
Hey, Julian.
Hey, how's it going, Taylor?
Good.
All right, let me
Nice
see.
house. Nice paintings.
Thank you.
And photography.
Thank you very much. I'm glad this is all streaming as well. Was tooling around with my streaming settings again. And let me see who else is here. Participants. Right. There we go. So now everyone's a panelist. There we go. Here's Taylor. Now let me see. Wait. And Jan. Okay. And who's that? There.
Hello, Fabian.
Hi, Jan.
Hello, Julian.
Hi. So did you catch the walkthrough?
Pardon?
Did you catch the walkthrough?
No. Unfortunately, we just came back home.
Oh, you missed it.
Unfortunately, I would have loved to seen it.
Oh, you can see it online afterwards.
Okay.
Let's see, that was about 15 minutes.
Yeah, we are late. Sorry.
No, no worries. It's all good. Oh, here, I have something else. Here's something fun. This is
What is this?
this is a sculpture by Paolo Buggiani.
Oh wow.
He was or is, I don't know if he's still alive. You know, knowing him, he probably is. I think Paolo will probably outlive God. He was a crazy painter, sculptor, performance artist in New York City that my dad used to represent.
Okay.
Most famous for the fact that on his way late to an opening, because he finished the painting the day of the opening or whatever, and he got stuck in traffic on Canal Street. So with this huge canvas, so he goes to the back of the truck, puts on his roller skates, takes the canvas and goes roller skating through New York City with this painting in his hand.
Oh wow.
And that was photographed and he became famous for it.
Oh wow.
It was a thing. Yeah, and I keep trying to promote you to panelists, but somehow it's
I think you need to turn on my camera, I think, because I can't do anything.
I keep trying to promote you. Now it should work. Try it now.
Is it working now?
Yeah. Now you can turn on your camera, I assume. Ah,
Gallery is closed. What a surprise.
not forever.
Hopefully not.
Well, we'll be back. So what is all this? So this is one of my.
So what is today's topic?
Oh, nothing in particular. Today I just did a walk through the house. I was kind of wasted after doing the translation. So let me see if I can get rid of this. I think this is, it's not me. No, it's certainly not me. I'm in this picture. So I guess that'll be my dad.
Okay.
Today I just did a walk through the house. I was kind of wasted after doing the translation. Wow, this is.
Hey Julian.
Yeah.
Look at this. My first Irving paint. Can you see it?
No, because I have to tell my dad to stop sharing. There it is. Ah, there we go. Okay. My dad apparently hit the sharing button. So, oh, nice.
Silver, 1949.
Wow. Beautiful.
My first Irving paint. So I'd like to have an August Sandler.
You're talking to the right guy.
Do I? One day.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yes.
Let me, yeah, that's fine. Okay, sorry. So, what other news has happened? In Germany, it's looking like shops may start opening again after Christmas. Not Christmas, after
Wow, what a perspective.
after Easter.
Really?
Yeah, they're thinking about doing small, like slowly opening up shops here and allowing smaller locations to, where they can guarantee a certain degree of safety, which would be the case in my case because I can guarantee that there's not that many people in my gallery at any one given time. So hopefully that'll happen and things can start to reactivate.
Yeah. I think here in Bavaria it will not happen.
No?
No.
Yeah, I think you guys got, well, where would the major hits were here, somewhere around here because of Carnival, and then in Bavaria, right? Those are the two
Yeah.
spots.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
here in, was it not Beinsberg, Heinsberg, I think it was. It seems that they've got it under control, whatever that means.
Wow, amazing.
So,
Hey, can I ask you a question?
sure.
August Sander, yeah? Amazing photographer.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think he took pictures? You probably studied him.
That's a complicated question to answer.
Maybe you need some time to think about that. Maybe next time or so. What was his motivation? What was his? Because we are talking a lot about this lately.
Well,
But
I can answer that but all right. So one reason, let's get rid of the obvious stuff first. It was his job. Like he
Sure.
chose that as a profession, and so he took photographs as a professional, doing his job, making money, making a living, and so on.
Sure.
And that's, I think, very important, particularly in modern context of photography as an art form, that many artists don't understand that at that time there wasn't this idea of the artist of photography. It was a job.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to painting, many of the painters that he worked with also did decorative painting, but at the time, people didn't just roll their walls one color. And so the actual labor of being a painter was more involved than it is now.
Sure.
There's actually a painting of in the group, the master craftsman of the master painter, who there's spots on the wall that are hand painted. And it was a very particular technique, which was, a sign of skill that you were able to do a wall with those spots on them, and it looked like wallpaper, but it was painted. So just in terms of the content, or bring into context the physical labor and the craft of the time, because we're still talking about early to mid industrial revolution. And so all of this, the mass produced stuff that we have now didn't exist so much at that time. All right, so that's one aspect of it. And that covers the fact that he had the dark room, the fact that he had employees, the fact that he took a large amount of portraits. During the late 30s and through World War II, he spent a lot of time photographing landscape and plants and things like that, which we refer to as this kind of innere Emigration, is the German, where he was looking for a place of peace for himself, which means that he understood in the creation of images, in the capturing of images, that there was the possibility of translating and of bringing people away from where they are by showing them something other. So I think that plays a major role. If you look at some of the particular portraits, one of the most poignant being the portrait of Heinrich Hörle, or I think that's the one where it's the most obvious.
That's the painter, yeah?
Painter, yeah.
Yeah.
The one picture that showed, it was the one picture in Paris. That was him looking for ways to render the nature of the person in a portrait of them. He had understanding of physiognomy and the relationship between how we present ourselves, how we stand, how we move, how our physical appearance is in comparison to who we are as a person, meaning that you can read, at least in larger parts, depending on how sensitive you are, you can read who somebody is by looking at them. We understand this inherently because, I've said it often, if you go into a place you've never been before where you know nobody, which we as traveling people now do very often, as much more so than used to be the case 50 or 100 years ago. That we have a way to discern who it's, I mean, safe is, I think, too abrasive a word, but you're attracted to people and you feel comfortable speaking to certain people more than others because of the way they present themselves and how that represents something that you recognize and feel safe within yourself. And then if we step into the idea that he spent all of this time discussing the ideas of how to represent society, both on a on an artistic level, but also on a sociological level, sketching out the first frameworks of German society as a representation of societies in general. It's my understanding that he was looking to remind, well, all right, I'm going to give this to you the way I see it.
Yeah.
So make note that my opinion is very much rooted in my experience and may differ from other people's opinions of the work. I see him looking for ways to show us how society functions as a whole. The fact that every aspect of society is worth representation, which was one of the major problems he had with the National Socialists, that they only wanted to have represented that which they deemed to be appropriate, to be, to want to have been seen. We as a German society at that time wanted to show ourselves in a certain light. And I think August very much understood that there is no part of a society that that doesn't earn the right to be represented, because it all plays a part. And that's where his work after the Second World War, bringing in certain aspects of society which he didn't have in before, like the migrant workers, like the separation of the Nazis and the soldiers as two separate groups and two separate portfolios. The sick, the dead, the blind, the poor, all of these people, the crippled, which we tend to flock to that because it's a bit of this kind of emotional connection porn thing that it's just a thing that people do now. But I do think that there's validity in showing that, because what it does is it allows you to see that these parts in society were always there, that we're not different now than it was then. I've had many conversations with people, particularly about people of the 20th century, asking, well, is it possible to do now? And I've got a whole bunch of photographers who have come to me and said, I'm going to make the people of the 21st century, which I haven't met a single person yet who's actually figured out how to put those parts together. In my opinion, it has nothing or very little to do with physiognomy or with fashion as it did in Sanders' time. I think his job was a bit easier because people wore their colors. It was a matter of pride to be a master craftsman, or to be anything of any profession. You wore your colors, you wore your uniform. And nowadays that uniform has become very, very soft and fluid between different professions and social classes and so on. You have rich people walking around wearing super expensive trashed clothing, and you have poor people who have immaculately tailored suits because they learned how to sew. And so the physical indicators are no longer as accurate as they were at that time. So getting back to your question, why did he photograph? It seems to me that he was consistently trying to convey the idea that people need to be looked at with a neutral eye, that you give everyone the benefit of the doubt to look at them and to really look. And the way he photographed, he transferred the judgment process from himself to the viewer, meaning that when you look at one of his photographs, you had to make the decision about the person you were looking at who was photographed.
Hmm.
Tell you whether the Nazi was good or bad. He didn't tell you if the nurse was a nice nurse or not. He didn't tell you if the businessman was honest or not honest. He just put them in the picture as they presented themselves. And we as the viewer had to look at the picture and judge for ourselves.
Hmm.
And this is actually a conversation I had with Michael Summeroff in 2011, where he was speaking about his first experience looking at Sander pictures at, I think in Philadelphia, at an exhibition that my dad had done in Philadelphia in the 80s. And he said he felt like he was communicating with the people in the picture.
Hmm.
It wasn't looking at somebody. It wasn't like looking in a window at a mannequin, or even at a fashion show looking at, you know, the person walking by with the clothing on. It was much more like we're looking at each other. I see two-dimensional pixelized versions of all three of you right now, but we're communicating.
Hmm.
And that was the experience that Michael explained to me. And it's the experience that I've seen people have over and over with the pictures. And one of the things that I think many young photographers have a real problem reaching, because to give anybody the amount of safety and security to be able to allow them to speak through their body language to the camera and communicate with the viewer who doesn't even exist at that point, you have to give that sitter an extraordinary amount of safety as a photographer. They need to understand that they're safe, that the picture is safe, that nothing's going to happen, that they're valued, that everything that they are has its own validity and its own right to exist right then, right there at that very moment. And you have to be the person who knows exactly when to hit the shutter, because that shifts. Of course, you know this, and Taylor, you know this as well, that the pictures, they change. Or the person changes, and you have to find just the right spot, you know, the decisive moment, which
Of course.
is, I love that term because it always makes people think of speed, like being fast, and it has nothing to do with that.
No.
The right time to do something is the right time, and the only requirement is that it is the right time. That's it.
Hmm.
So that's a partial answer to that.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I like it. It makes me think. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
It's a tough topic, you know, particularly now we had this conversation, I think 2-3 shows ago. We were discussing the fact that there are really a lot of art schools and a lot of people who are looking for the artist lifestyle as kind of like they identify with that role. And it's a real challenge because technology has homogenized the look and the aesthetic of people's work. You know, the physical interaction with it is much less prominent now.
hmm.
We have a huge body of visual stylisms to work with. You know, that we've had great masters who've created extraordinary works over the last 150, 200 years, of which we've all drank heavily and have influenced our palates, if you will, as to how we see things. And we're bombarded with pictures, like photographs, all the time. I mean, all the time. It's, you know, if all you eat is potato chips, at some point you will not be able to taste salt. You lose your sensitivity for salt because that's all you eat. But you can't really get away from it. Like, what do? We can't leave. Forget the mask, put the mask up from nose to forehead and walk around like a blind person for a while. I had a really interesting experience. Well, it's interesting. It's one I would gladly not have had. But I had to have surgery on my left eye about 1.5 to 2 years ago, because I had my eye, there was a popped blood vessel in my eye. And so my left eye became cloudy. And it looked like I was looking through like a steam bath or a soft filter. You know, like those the super cheesy 70s soft filters where everything's all fluffy.
Yeah.
That's what my left eye looked like, right? And when I looked at things, and for the first time, I understood that what I see is not actually what I see. Because if I looked through my left eye, I saw a very different world than if I looked through my right eye. And it wasn't like I was looking through a lens to see that. It was my own eye. So this and this were very
different.
And it was fascinating to look at pictures, particularly like museums or artworks, anything that I could look at, because with my left eye, it got to the point where I couldn't see detail. All I could see was surface, tone, composition, you know, contrast-based composition, color and contrast-based composition. And my right eye, I could still, and I still can see very, very clearly. So I had these two experiences, and in my head, I was mixing them because I'm looking through both eyes. And so it's just, of course, amazing where it has, you know, has this ability to balance, which is why we can see in 3D as opposed to two overlapping pictures that look all weird. You know, if you took pictures from here and put them on top of each other, they would not actually fit on top of each other.
Yeah.
But our head does that, and that's the way our head works, which is fascinating. But it taught me an important lesson. It means that I really have to be cognizant of how I see things. What is it that I'm looking at? How's my eye seeing? Which, you know, opened up an entire realm of how photography can be used. You know, why do things need to be sharp? Why do things need to be not in motion or in motion? All those things that as a technician, as a practitioner of a particular skill, we tend to shy away from. You know, I'm a photographer as well. It's like a hereditary disease in my family. So for all these things that we shy away from, there's time and there's merit to them for what they are. And if we understand that, you know, like the knee-jerk reactions, if you're walking in the dark and something comes at you from the side, you see it even though you don't actively see it, like your periphery vision is active. And there's, you know, so there's all these things going on in our ability to see. And that experience for me of having my eye operated on and having it now look differently, even now than it did then, really open up an entire world of how to explore the way I see things and how to understand them and experience them. And I think that's
cool.
You know, it's an important step, which I certainly don't wish what I had to go through on anybody, particularly not people who are visually, you know, active and interested. But you know, there was a major silver lining, at least for me.
Awesome. Wow, thank you for sharing. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Any other questions?
No. Do we have one? No.
I'm considering doing online portfolio discussions as an idea to get people to bring in some pictures on a topic. Like everyone bring one picture, be it their own or somebody else's, or if somebody wants to bring a portfolio, like Taylor, bring a group of 10 pictures and open up a discussion about that, because I can sit and show you pictures, you know, for a long time, but it may be interesting, you know, to get the conversation also to bring in some work. And
that'd be interesting. Yeah,
really good in prepping material for us to show on the show, but I have to do that from Cologne because the pictures are all in Cologne. And on Tuesday when I did the show, the audio was really, really bad, which I assume has to do with the fact that my internet connection in the gallery is from a different provider. It seems that my audio today is quite clear.
Yeah, today is much better.
Yeah. And next week I will be doing the session 2 of the radio lectures. So that's on for next Tuesday.
Cool. Yeah, I can prepare some photographs. Is there a certain theme or topic that you want me to discuss?
Nope.
Just
Let's, if we take 5 minutes per picture, then it should be no more than 6 pictures.
cool.
Half hour.
Okay. Sounds good.
As an option to bring material in and discuss it and see if that's something that works as a group.
Yeah.
And invite friends and tell people to join in.
Yeah, for sure. Will do. Will that be next Tuesday or next Thursday?
That would be next Thursday. Next Tuesday is
Okay.
session chapter 2 of the radio lectures,
Okay.
which in the process.
Cool.
Good.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me again, everybody.
It was great. Sorry, I missed we were in the forest for a walk and we came back late because we had so many great picture ideas. And so we missed it, unfortunately.
Well, it'll be up on the on my site and on the Vimeo link.
Okay.
I think it takes like 2 hours to transcode and get posted. That all
Okay.
happens automatically. So
Okay, cool. Hey, thank you. Stay safe over there.
yes, we will. You too, and Taylor, you as well. And
Yeah.
thanks for joining me again. And I will see you all on Tuesday.
Bye.